Greetings, you deep diving fools. You want to see the rest of this build, don't you? And I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to go ahead and record me working with ChatGPT, Cathy, on the rest of this build here for my new character, my new controller by the name of Frisson Sensate, Symphony Control, Empathy, and Ice Mastery. And with Frisson, we left off at level 12. And we are theoretically at this point slotted with level 15 IOs, which gives what, about a 20% boost to the various stats. And here we are. We came out of the gate with characters build or creation with melodic binding and healing aura as our starting 1-2. Then at second level, we got our first cone power, Aria of Stasis, little AoE action. Then Project Will as a single target attack, Hymn of Dissonance as a single target hold, then Dreadful Discord, a cone fear, heal other, single target buff heal power, and then a single target debuff by the name of Weaken Resolve. And all these powers that attack something have a default accuracy, and every power has some endurance reduction because it seems a lot of these powers are fairly hefty in their endurance cost. Plus, I'm just a firm believer in having endurance and having endurance management as a main strategy of my builds. Then I got several recharge reductions in there to make sure some of these key powers are coming back sooner. But there we are. That's where we're at level 12, technically 13. And we're going to go ahead and jump ahead to what Cathy has in store for us at level 14. So if you remember what I'm doing here, I am just going ahead and telling ChatGPT, aka Cathy, what the powers are that I have accessible to this build, and then I'm giving her a choice to decide which powers she wants to slot and when, and then to give me explanations or reasons for it so I can double check to see if I agree or not. And for the most part, I'm in agreement. And there's a couple times where I'm like, I don't know about that, but I went with it. And only one time so far I've overridden what she was saying or what she thought. And I've been trying to guide her through this process of character creation. And ultimately, what I'm thinking or hoping the goal will be, if I can train her correctly, I can then use this process to then give her free reign, true free reign, for a from scratch build of any character. I should be able to hopefully say, hey, go look up these powers and slot them, pick them, choose them. What would you do for a specific build? Kind of, that'd be a really cool idea just to say, hey, make my next character for me. I don't care what archetype or what power set. You come up with something, give me the build. That'd be a fascinating experiment. But we got to get there baby steps. So let's see where we're at. And I'm right here. I have the next prompt ready for her. So what I've told her now is, all right, hey, let's move on to level 14. And I give her a little pep talk, little FYI, what we have to worry about at this point. We're entering that more challenging phase of the game. We're in our teens, so you're going to be facing more dangerous foes. You got Mez. You're going to be teaming a lot more at this point. At least, at this point, I would be teaming more because, especially with a controller, defender, something like that, you're not going to be soloing too well into your teen levels without any sort of Mez protection or way to self-buff or debuff the enemy. And I go on to let her know that at this point, our enhancements will probably be boosting like level 15s. I forget the exact number, but they're ballparking 20% boost depending on what kind of enhancement they are, accuracy, damage, etc. So I want to kind of give her an idea that if we start adding slots, it's going to boost these powers about that much. And then once we kind of get done with this next chunk here and get into like level 25 range, then I can say, hey, now our power is going to be getting boosted by about 33%, because that might alter the way she wants to slot things. And then I go and tell her that our choice at this point is you could choose a new power from one of those that we've previously skipped from the primary, secondary, or the Force of Will pool powers. Choose anything we've already passed over. And then I let her know that there is a new option that we haven't discussed yet, and that's Wall of Force. That is the Tier 4 power from the Force of Will set. And then I went ahead and have all the numbers for that particular power and what it does. And now I'm going to go ahead and enter this and see what she thinks we should do at level 14. All right, she's confirming what I just said. The level 14's pivotal moment. Not just a stylish soloist. He's expected to carry rhythm and pressure in dangerous team combat. Look how clever she's being. His toolkit needs to balance damage contribution, soft and hard control, and sustainability. And the cool thing I like here is like I didn't like, necessarily tell her any of this stuff. I mean, I might have suggested it, but she's reading between the lines where she uses her understanding of this game, which comes from God knows where, and is coming up with a reason for doing things. So let's evaluate the new power option, Wall of Force, in the context of the build and compare it to the best of the still skipped powers. So here's the Wall of Force, 40-foot range, 90-degree arc, 10 maximum targets. We've got some total damage, 33% chance for a knockdown, recharge, endurance. Strengths. Wide cone makes it great for spawn coverage. Extra damage versus held, immobilized, stun targets synergizes with our control heavy kit. That is the key for in controllers. There, they get their what you call it, not overpower, but you get the double damage containment. Size Smash gives coverage and thematic punch, frequent use, 10-second recharge, the real AoE filler for tempo building. We've already invested in Force of Will, so this furthers the synergy. Very thematic, Frisson creating a sonic emotional shockwave wall to slam through his enemies. I really like that she keeps going back to this idea of theme and how the power options that we have before us fit to the theme, and that may be a reason for choosing them. I'm all for choosing powers for theme, as long as they're not trash. All right, weaknesses. Moderate endurance means it must be managed well. True. Knockback is inconsistent. Mag point 6-7 won't displace much unless you sought for it. Or stacked with their KB. That's not 100% true. That'll take down most, small level foes. I don't think it knocks down bosses, though. And then this last thing is interesting again, that she understands this concept. You have to precisely aim your cones, which can be tricky in tight quarters. So yeah, cone positioning is key if you're going to run with cones. That's why one of the reasons people don't like cones, it requires more, positional gaming, whereas, AoEs you just chuck them, and or range you just drop them, doesn't really matter. I think the biggest challenge of cones is being too close to the enemy or targeting too near with the far end of your cone. It just takes some practice, but it is doable. You can get good numbers of enemies, and really most cones are maybe like half the damage or something like that as a single target. So if you can hit two people, you're pretty much even as far as damage goes. So then it really comes down to endurance. How many endurance would it cost to cast twice a single target attack to do the same amount of damage as a single cone attack for that same amount of damage. So once you get to like 3 or more enemies hit, your cones are paying for themselves, at least in my numbers. So anyway, she is right, but I do also think she's forgetting that she mentioned it. It's got a 90-degree cone, so it's actually very good at hitting large numbers of targets, even if they're up close. So I don't think this is that bad of a thing, at least for Wall of Force. The biggest challenge I think of Wall of Force is its short range. It's only a 40-foot cone, so that's short range, bare end of cones. I'd rather have one that's like 60 feet or something. But anyway, that's what's going on. Skip powers, we got Impassioned Serenade, the single target Confuse, Mighty Leap, Mobility, and Feeling Lullaby. If it's me, I'm either going this or I'm going with my Wall of Force here. One of those two, depending on endurance. I mean, they're both going to do some damage. They're both going to have some control. You got some knockdown, 20% chance of knockdown versus 100% chance of sleeping. And they got the minus damage, so pretty good. All right, strategic context. Frisson now has strong AoE control. Immobilize Arya, Fear, Discord, the Hold, and the Dread is the... So she has, what, 2 immobilizes, a cone, one of them, single target Hold, and then the cone Fear. So she's got decent control right now. Support, Healing, Aura, and Heal Other. Burst Crowd Control, the Dreadful Discord, Weaken Resolve with a debuff, Project Will, Blaster style kind of filler. So she could get some decent damage out of Project Will and her hold. So you could, for instance, throw out your hold as your Alpha Strike. Then Weaken Resolve to debuff, and then hit him with Immobilize and Project Will to capitalize upon the containment and the resistance debuff on top of that. That could get you some hefty chonk right there. What he lacks is a consistent AoE damage source. I know where she's going. That doesn't rely on crowd control to carry the whole fight. Wall of Force fills that gap with damage, tempo, reliable uptime, and excellent synergy with your lockdown rotation. This is very interesting because she so far has recommended where I would have gone with the single target hold and the cone sleep instead of project will and instead of wall of force. I would definitely have taken wall of force at some point. I don't know if I would have taken project will, but I see her points. I just would have probably done them later, and that's just because in my head I'm thinking I want the controls to control and keep me alive, whereas it seems she's more leaning towards almost a DPS strategy, which is interesting. I mean, and it does have some knockdown, so it could work. All right, you know what? I'm going for it. Whatever you say, girl. Let me go ahead and pull up the mids now, and let's get this penciled in. Pull this up. Mids Reborn. There we go. And let's hide this. All right, so here's mids. She wants to go at level 14. We're going Wall of Force. Cha-ching. Now let's see what she wants to do for slotting. Scroll back over here. Ooh, she also did something else interesting. So then she concludes with this. So gives her reasons why. Synergize with the Immobilize for bonus damage. This is true. You could cone with the Immobilize and then cone with Wall of Force and get the extra damage. Or I don't think Fear triggers containment, so we need the Immobilize to trigger containment. So maybe you open with a Fear, hit with the cone Immobilize, and then hit with Wall of Force. Or Fear, Wall of Force. No, I think you definitely want your... Yeah, so Fear, Immobilize, Wall of Force, and then Immobilize again. And then some single target crap. 10-second recharge, part of the regular loop because I want to cut that down. All right, so anyway, this is the other thing I was interested. So optional flavor justification. Sometimes the performance needs a climax. Frisson's voice doesn't just freeze hearts. It crashes down like a wave. Wall of Force is that crescendo. See how creative she's being? I didn't tell her any of this crap, right? She's coming up with some cool, like, flavor RP sort of rationale for these things, which I'm freaking loving this stuff. I mean, a lot of people, oh, these AIs, you know, they're just copying stuff. Are they? Are they? Who told it to do that? It came up with this on its own. I didn't say jack. I will say that I mentioned this in the last video, that the AIs do learn from you. And I think they have a memory now, the more advanced versions. So I think the more I work with her, the more she is giving me what I want to hear. So she probably knows I like this stuff from our previous interactions. And I think she's just trying to give me more. It's like a drug, man. She's my drug. I'm high on you, Cathy. All right, let's do the two enhancement slots at 15. Where do you want to put them and what kind? We're putting a default accuracy in Wall of Force, of course. There we go. Let's see what she's got. I wonder if she's going to want to put something in stamina soon, because I would be definitely throwing a second slot in stamina shortly, because I want, especially now I'm starting to get more and more of these attacks, more and more of these endurance heavy powers. You need better recovery. All right, level 15 is where Frisson Sensate steps onto a bigger stage. She's being so punish. With dual origin enhancements now in play, each slot provides meaningful about 20% performance boost. Every slot's precious. We placed default accuracy. Now we have 2 to go. Let's make them count. Wall of Force, accuracy's in there, endurance 13, recharge 10, high uptime equals great value from endurance reduction. Could also use damage since AoE scaling improves Frisson's offensive presence. Aria of Stasis, your core AoE immobilize already has accuracy, endurance, recharge, one of your most used controls. Adding a damage slot makes sense now since it hits every target and will scale well with Dios. Could also consider control duration depending on content, pacing, and role. Hymn of Dissonance, great single target control, damage, already accuracy, endurance, recharge. Adding damage now would let it punch harder. This is your elite boss pressure tool. Excellent candidate for proccing later, so more damage is never wasted. Recommended slot allocation, here she goes. She is saying Wall of Force and double slotting it, endurance and damage. I don't have a problem with that. I don't. Why this works. Wall of Force becomes a reliable, endurance efficient damage cone used every fight, every spawn. This starts to round out Frisson's offense, not just control. You're still preserving the sustained first philosophy, but now you're adding punch to stay relevant. And this says if you're looking at set slotting soon as IOs come into play, this also keeps Wall of Force open for AoE damage or force feedback style proc builds later. Dang, dude, she is freaking ahead of me. Alrighty, so endurance and damage are what she's recommending for our next little slot position. So let's go Wall of Force, Wall of Force. We're going accuracy. We're going damage. And she said endurance, right? Yep. Bam. I'm loving it. All right. Beautiful. All right, Cathy, what's next? She wants to do level 16. Let's move on to level 16. At this point, you can choose, and let's see what we got on the level up chart. Level 16 is right here. We get access to our tier 5 power from our secondary set. So tier 5 from secondary. So we got to go look at what is in empathy at tier 5. The dreaded clear mind. All right, let's do this. Let's grab this for her to look at. Let's move on to level 16. At this point, you can choose your tier 5 power from empathy. Your secondary. I'm still being a bit coachy for her because the more she knows now, the easier it'll be later if I want to repeat this with a different character build. Your secondary set. This power is called Clear Mind. Here are its stats. Boom. Clear your mind. Clear mind, boom. And then we got to go grab the other info. Empathy, clear mind. So this is your mez protection for your allies. It does not protect you. It also provides plus perception. So I'm going to go ahead and throw that information in here. The numbers. Boom. The effects. And we're going to go ahead and grab the effects are over here. So PvE, PvP, grab the PvE stuff. Grab this. And then grab this. Throw that in there. Did you go there? Come on. Come on. All right, I think I got it. Alternatively, you can gotta remember that she can take other stuff. Alternatively, you can choose a skipped power as usual. And anything else I need to worry about? I don't think so. Let me double check with mids quick to see if anything else lit up. That's another way to kind of figure out what you got unlocked. At 16, no. So I think we've got all those choices. We could dip into another power pool. I don't have anything off the top of my head that I definitely want to take. other than just kind of looking ahead, if I do go Ice Mastery and I take Frozen Armor, that does give me Smash Lethal Defense. So I could look at some point at maybe getting some more defense. And one cheap, easy way would be in some power I'd taken a lot of my characters would be Leaping Pool, Combat Jumping. So that's another option to throw in here. I don't know if I want to throw it out just yet. I might wait till a little bit later in the build because I don't need to worry about it just yet. We might want to get something like Mighty Leap before then because that's going to give us some verticality and travel ish. Because now in your teens, you're probably going to be, running around maps and zones a bit more. So that might be an interesting slot for it. Interesting position. So I don't think I want to confuse her with additional pool powers just yet. And I might want to revisit with her the pool powers, specifically the Force of Will's Mighty Leap, because the one thing she didn't make note of is that you also get this, you get takeoff as well. So I just want to see if she knows that is an option or why that might be an extra option. Because to me, it's not so much the Mighty Leap that I want. I like the takeoff power. And does it reference it here at all? No, here it is, takeoff. So I'm going to feed this to her just so she knows. Copy this. All right, alternatively, you could choose to skip power as usual from your primary, secondary, or pool power. One bit of extra information about a pool power we have chatted about but not selected is Mighty Leap. I don't know if you realize, but while this power is toggled, it gives access to another power called Takeoff. I'll give her the takeoff info here. Numbers, effects, paste the effects, and then let's paste the numbers here. Like this. Copy that crap. Throw this over here. Numbers, paste. I think we got everything we want, right? Is that everything? Boom. Full information provided. Let's see what she comes up with this time. Now that you're level 16, you're facing more complex encounters, more mez-heavy enemies, layered spawn mechanics, and frequent team play. You're presented with a meaningful choice between Clear Mind, skipped picks like Impassioned Serenade, Mighty Leap, or Enfeebling Lullaby. Let's evaluate Clear Mind and then weigh it against the options in light of our build goals, theme, and current power structure. I like how she's also keeping in mind kind of a balanced approach to this whole thing, too. All right, Clear Mind, summary, single target, 70-foot range, 4-second recharge, 90-second duration, 5 endurance, immunity to sleep, hold, immobilize, fear, confuse, stun, and a huge perception buff. I didn't realize, yeah, okay, I thought it was knockback. All right, yeah, though it does give really strong protection against your main mezzes here. Okay. Yeah, it does protect against confuse. Okay, why it's good. Hard mess protection. Prevents nearly all forms of crowd control. Long duration, short cooldown. Easily kept on multiple teammates. Crucial for high-end content. Like, look at this. It's coming up with names of factions. I didn't feed this information to her. Arachnos, Carnies, Ricti, Warworks, which would be like Praetorian robots there, who use mezzes and stealth units. Perception buff lets allies spot stealth enemies. Stealth bosses, snipers, and PvP. I don't know if snipers have stealth. Maybe the PPD ones. So she might be confused about the names and stuff. There isn't a lot of enemies that are stealthy in the game. The Arachnos Widows with their they have, I think, invisibility or stealth, and then they throw the smoke grenades comes to mind, but that's about it. Why you might skip it. Mez protection is less critical early on, especially if you aren't running difficult task forces or AV, EV heavy arcs. You're not yet focused on tightly optimizing a high difficulty team comp, but you will be soon. Not very flashy or visibly thematic, more functional than flavorful. Other options: Impassioned Serenade, stylish soft control. That's the Confuse. Adds utility against enemy support units, but doesn't replace Lockdown. Mighty Leap plus Takeoff. Excellent mobility. Takeoff gives situational knockback. It's more of a flourish than a combat tool. Pairs thematically well with Wall of Force. If you're feeling confined by low mobility or navigating vertical maps a lot, this becomes very attractive. Enfeebling Lullaby, AoE Sleep, minus damage, high cost, long cast situational utility. Probably the weakest option left. I wouldn't say that's the weakest option left. I mean, that cone sleep is auto hit. So you're boom, you're gonna sleep people. I'm just kind of a reminder of this. One correction or thought I want to add to you before any final decision. I don't even want to see what you made. Is that enfeebling lullaby is auto hit. Sleeps on the homecoming servers were sleeps on the homecoming servers were changed to not need an a to hit roll on their sleep effects. So while it may cost a lot, it's guaranteed to sleep all targets in its reach. I think that includes bosses. I think the mag is high enough to sleep a boss as well. All right, so we'll kind of give her that. Food for thought. Excellent clarification. It definitely shifts the equation. You're right on. On homecoming, sleep effects are auto hit, meaning Feeling Lullaby can reliably neutralize an entire spawn, including bosses, regardless of accuracy, defense, debuffs, or concealment. That changes from a soft, risky control to a tactical reset tool with guaranteed value. Yeah, hello. Let's quickly reframe the decision now with that in mind. Reevaluating it, guaranteed hit, ignores defense concealment, 70-foot range, 45-degree arc, 16 targets. Applies, so the damage debuff applies even if the sleep fails or target's immune. 45-second recharge, high endurance costs, pretty slow cast time. New pros: auto hit, crowd control that locks down entire spawns. Even hard to hit bosses, AVs can be neutralized for 22 plus seconds. Well, AVs temporarily if PTOD are down. The debuff is actually pretty juicy. Guaranteed tempo reset, especially powerful when things go wrong mid-fight. Thematically brilliant, Frisson unleashes a sorrowful, weakening dirge that sedates violence itself. Final evaluation: clear mind, preventative mez shield, excellent teams, low cost, long duration. Cons: low impact solo, maintenance buff. Lullaby, auto hit, guaranteed control, team saver, thematic, high cost, long cast recharge. Mighty Leap, mobility utility, stylish, opens leap synergy. Map freedom doesn't improve team value or crowd control. Impassioned Serenade, soft utility, single target confuse. Unique flavor, minor control, too niche versus other options. I'm betting she's going to be convinced the Lullaby. For me, depends if I'm teaming a lot. Clear Mind would be my pick. I definitely want Lullaby. I don't see you wouldn't skip it. It's auto sleep, so that at least gives you that immediate interrupt power. I really like Mighty Leap because I think, the takeoff is actually not bad. Although I'm not going to be in melee range that much, so takeoff will be limited use. So the Mighty Leap, having it's nice, but it's not critical. So I would say for me, I'm either would be Lullaby or Clear Mind at this point, depending if I'm teaming a lot or I want some more damage. Might lean towards Clear Mind because it's sort of a free pick. I could one slot this thing with some endurance and call it a day. I don't know. Let's see what she wants to do. revised recommendation, Enfeebling Lullaby. Why now? You now know that this power is a guaranteed spawn. Well, I knew it was a guaranteed spawn neutralizer, but man, the endurance is freaking heavy. You cannot miss. Even if sleep breaks on hit, you're always going to get the minus 20% damage. See, that to me is very important. So it does damage. Right? It does damage. Let me go double check. Pretty sure it does damage. So Symphony Control. Enfeebling Lullaby. Yeah, so it does damage. It's a big ol' interrupt. And it has the big ol' damage debuff, right? Pretty sure. Yeah, minus damage, yep. So boom, boom, boom. I mean, it's a triple win, really. Adds depth, blah blah. So anyway, hits his oh no button. Reset the fight, reset the tempo. Yeah, I like that. It's just expensive to use. I mean, at this point, you're sucking wind with the way we've got all these attacks. We got a lot of options, but you're not gonna be able to be, going crazy with these powers at all. All right, hey, one name gives you ideas of when to use it. When entering a room, lullaby, aria, weaken, wall. When overwhelmed, lullaby, healing aura, reset the battlefield. Against bosses, hit them for the minus 20 damage, even if they resist sleep. Yes. Let's go to the level 17 double enhancement slots. We do not need to put an accuracy in the lullaby power, so you're free to put whatever in that default slot, as well as decide where to put these two new slots. One power to consider adding a slot to is stamina in your inherent fitness, because that power gives you endurance recovery faster. And I'll probably even give her the information you need to know. Pools, fitness, there's fitness. So she has the stamina numbers just to know what to do with it. Here it is, stamina. Stamina is always on and costs no endurance to run. Here are its base numbers. Boom. All right, let's see what she wants to do. Because I think at this point, you definitely got to be thinking about, we got to get some more recovery. All right, so we've just picked up Enfeebling Lullaby. Guaranteed full spawn sleep, 20% damage debuff, make an invaluable control tool. So let's structure our decisions around maximizing uptime of the best control, managing long-term endurance, boosting powers that scale well with DOs. Overview of relevant powers. Enfeebling Lullaby is new. Already has one unslotted default. Can be anything but accuracy. High cost, long cast, long cooldown. Since it's auto hit, your best use is endurance reduction or recharge. Endurance reduction, I think, is for sure. Adding more slots will reduce downtime significantly. Okay. Cooldown, yeah, 45 seconds is a bit long. Passive endurance regen boost. Adding just one recovery DO boosts it from 25 to 30 or more. This will passively offset expensive power chains like Lullaby plus Wall plus Healing Aura plus Weaken. Most endurance-focused players 3-slot this eventually. Not if you have the correct IO sets, but yes. Recommended slot allocation. Here's what she's saying. Endurance and recharge in Enfeebling Lullaby and stamina gets one. All right. I don't have any issues with any of those. Lullaby becomes functional reset button more often and more affordable, especially when comboed with Healing Aura and Aria. Stamina starts building your endurance resilience, which will carry your rotation from mid-20s through the 30s, where powers get more expensive. You preserve slot efficiency while raising your control per minute potential and reducing blue bar pressure. Power priorities you've strengthened. Control cadence, lullaby, aria, hymn now all have recharge optimization. Endurance longevity. Stamina plus end redux and lullaby equals no power attack spikes. Flexibility for solo and team play. All right, she's ready to go on to 18. So let's go ahead and pop open mids and update this build. So at 16, we're taking a feeling lullaby. She wanted to put one in there, one in stamina, I believe. Double check, make sure. Yeah. All right, so we got 2 there and another one in stamina. And stamina has a default slot already, which contains a first end recovery enhancement. So you are putting a second one in there. Make sure she understands that. All right, let her think about that for a second. I don't know if she'll change her mind, but go ahead and say endurance. She wants recharge, and the stamina goes here with a second. And you guys can't see it, but stamina's underneath Swift. It has 2 end recovery mods. Let's see what she was saying with her updated stuff. Perfect. Thanks for clarifying about stamina. So at level 17, we're using one of the 2 new slots at a second. That's actually a fantastic breakpoint with 2 recovery DOs in there. We're boosting endurance recovery from 25 to close to 40% at this point. Noticeable difference in sustained performance during fights. Frisson can now sing, control, and support without hitting burnout mid-rotation. All right, so there we go. Let's move on to 18. Let's move on to level 18. At this point, you can, let's look at our options. The options are as follows. Go back here. All right, so at level 18, we get access to our tier 7 power in the primary. All right, so at this point, you can take the tier 7 power from your primary set Symphony Control. This power is called... Dun, dun, dun. What is that power called? Go over there to Symphony Control. That power is called Confounding Chant. Another beautiful cone. Let's grab this puppy. Confounding Chant. Grab this. Oops, that's Chords of Despair. Confounding Chant. Confounded. Confounding Chant. Here are its stats. Let's go ahead and give her this information. Confounding Chant. Copy this. Paste that. Here are its effects. Go back over here and grab this. And grab this. Grab that. Hidden in-game info. Why is that hidden? Carnate boss. Grab all that crap, I think. Or is this PV? No, that's only PvPs, that stuff. So this is all stuff I should copy. All right, activation effects, standard effects. There's psi damage. This is the containment psi damage. Then there's this thing here. I'm not sure why there's another thing here. I don't know what that stands for or why there's another hidden in-game info. With another, there's like 2 sets of damage, and each one Can proc? I don't know. Containment? Well, maybe. There's something going on there that I don't understand. And then there's the stun here. We're going to get the stun information with the overpower. Alternatively, you can choose any of the powers we've skipped. I don't think there's anything else we can worry about. Let's see what the hell I know she's going to pick this power, so, I mean, I would, but again, this is such an endurance heavy build right now. Okay, level 18 is big. You're now diving into Tier 7 Symphony, and the game's pace is accelerating. Let's break down your new option, Confounding Chant, and compare it with the few high impact picks you've left behind, especially as Fortitude looms at level 20. It keeps bragging about Fortitude. I get that Fortitude is a great power, but dude, that's not the reason for building this character or empathy in general. All right, Confounding Chant, 45-degree cone, 70-foot range, 16 targets, DOT, stun, damage, double on control, 90 seconds, 15, yeah, super expensive. Accuracy low, needs enhancement or debuff support. Pros, powerful AoE stun. Mag 3, it's working on lieutenants, some bosses maybe. I don't know about that. Long stun duration. Hard crowd control, doesn't break on damage. Psionic ticks for about 75 damage over time. Double the targets already controlled. Huge synergy with your kit. You always control first. This is true. So the DOT enhancement is guaranteed. So if you hit with Arya, him, Discord, I think it'd be nice to sleep him or immobilize him and hit him with this to get the double whammy damage. On theme, Frisson unleashing a disorienting crescendo that overwhelms foes with psychic pressure. Cons, accuracy's low, you gotta enhance it. High endurance cost, long cooldown, it's not a spammer. Cone targeting again. Might not replace utility of a power like Fortitude, which unlocks well, yeah, it's not gonna replace that. That doesn't make any sense. If anything, you'd say it doesn't replace the utility of Clear Mind. Skip powers, still worth considering. Impassioned Serenade. Mighty Leap. Clear Mind. So here's what she's saying. Still decent as a situational soft control, but arguably eclipsed now by your controlled dominance. I agree. This is why I don't need a single target. Confused. The only reason I would take Impassioned Serenade is I want it for the damage, not for the confuse. Mighty Leap, take off vertical movement, not critical unless you're feeling constrained on maps. Clear Mind, Mez Protection, still great, but if you're not in Mez heavy teams yet, it can wait. Potential pick later when team play grows more intense. Strategic considerations. You built Frisson as control heavy support, cone based lockdown, who carefully manages endurance. You don't need more soft utility. You need a powerful crowd disruptor that fits your performance style. Confounding Chant gives you stun for tempo disruption, damage for threat presence, thematic pick as Frisson hits his emotional crescendo. Yes, I knew you were going to recommend this Confounding Chant. It's the perfect apex to your Symphony Control theme. The stun is hard crowd control, which stacks beautifully with your already rich control rotation. The DOT damage spikes when you layer it properly, which you already do by design. It's a prestige control finisher, not an opener. Adds drama, style, and punch. Optional slot planned next. You'll definitely want accuracy, endurance, recharge, possibly with a DOT or stun set if you're going the IO route. Shall we head into level 19? Let's do the level 19 slotting and then move on to level 20 options. Let me see if I can double dip on this one. So level 20 option is your tier 6. And that is Fortitude, which 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You've been yapping about this all day long. All right, here we go. Fortitude. And I'm just going to grab it because, you know, the stupid AI can't stop talking about it. And then move on to the level 20 options, which, yes, which, yes, includes fortitude, or one of the skipped powers still. Fortitude. Here are fortitude's numbers. All right, let's see what the hell this thing wants to do. Let's see if it can kind of combine two things once. I'm kind of pushing my luck here, but let's see. Let's knock out the level 19's enhancements first and dive into fortitude in your level 20 power choices. Level 19. All right, so given the things, recommended accuracy and endurance, right? Confounding chant. I'm trying to think if it wants to do 2 accuracies. It's giving us the 2 slots, accuracy and endurance. All right, so here's what we've got. Let's go over here. So on mids, we're taking confounding chant. We're putting 1 here for sure. It's going to be the default accuracy, the endurance, and I don't know if she's saying put another accuracy in there. Confounding chant now is what it needs to function as your combat finisher or panic button. Adding a recharge the next few levels will complete. 1 clarification. Assuming confounding chant has an accuracy in its default slot, are you suggesting putting a second accuracy along with an endurance reduction as its 2 new slots? Let's see what she says. Excellent catch. And no, I would not recommend a second accuracy enhancement in confounded chant. Given the base accuracy of 0.8, a single accuracy enhancement brings it close to the standard hit curve, 95, blah, blah. That's diminishing return past the first action. Nah, hold on. You guys can't see this. All right, so here's what the hell she's saying. So I just clarified that, there's accuracy in it. Are you saying put another one? She's saying, no, I didn't say that. Base accuracy is 0.8. A single accuracy enhancement brings it close to the standard hit chance curve. Soft capping around 95% hit rate. She's confused because now she's saying diminishing returns. Now, yeah, as you add more slots of the same type, you do get diminishing returns, but because it's already lower, I don't think the diminishing returns is going to really kick in right away, at least not with 2. So if you put 2 in here, it's going to bring this up to like 1.2%, something like that. Anyway, so what is she saying? Corrected slot plan. So she's saying accuracy, endurance, recharge. So that is what, all right, that's what I wanted to clarify. So she is saying we should actually put the other 19 in here, and that'll be recharge. Okay, great. So this is why I don't want to kind of skip steps like I just did, because then she starts messing up. You just saw an example of that. So, oh, oops. I'm assuming she would remember that we're default accuracy in pretty much everything, but she forgot that. All right, so no second accuracy, endurance, and recharge. All right, so then let's go back to what she was recommending for our level 20, which is going to be fortitude. So here's what she's saying, fortitude. Level 20, that means fortitude's effects, 11.25% defense, 25% damage boost, 15% to hit, 120-second cooldown, 120 duration, 60-second cooldown, 10-4 endurance. Why is it amazing? Personal power-up cannon. Target any teammate, even a pet, and make them better at everything. Damage to hit, greatly improve output. Blasters, scrappers, Keldians. Defense, increases survivability. Low maintenance, casted every minute, benefit for 2. Scales beautifully in teams. This is one of the most impactful powers in the game. Yeah, it is a really good power. I don't know if it's the reason to take empathy, though. Pre-buff your highest damage dealer or yourself. So you can't buff yourself in solo play, so it messed that up. So yeah, you definitely want to buff your highest damage. Well, I've had to buff the high. Okay, here's my philosophy on this one. Yeah, it's great to, buff up your big beefy boys to get lots of damage, more out of them, right? But my blasters and scrappers are probably doing a ton of damage already, so why not maybe throw this on a defender, or corruptor, somebody else who now they're able to do blaster level kind of damage because you just jacked them up. I'm now 25% damage. That's like an SO's worth, so it's not like gonna put you over the top, but it's a nice chunk. So why not throw it on somebody who's a little bit weaker, a dominator maybe? I don't know, mastermind pet, like their boss pet. There's other places to put it. All right, so anyway, defense, low maintenance. I like that it's low maintenance. You can have it out on two people, no problem. Maybe three. Scales beautifully, right? Blah, blah, blah. Tactical use, pre-buff, layer with clear mind. Well, we don't have clear mind yet to layer it. It could go nicely with weaken resolve as the flip side of that coin. So you weaken resolve on a hard target, and then you fortitude somebody who's attacking that hard target. And it fits his theme as an inspirator. His voice literally lifts others into brilliance. Alternatives, Mighty Leap is still optional, but outclassed unless movement's been painful, which it probably is getting at this point. And Passionate Serenade, still flavorful, but eclipsed by all the harder controls. Clear Mind, strong buffing, but Fortitude is more urgent. So they're recommending the Fortitude power. It unlocks the Maestro layer of Frisson's kit. He now empowers as well as disrupts. Easy to use, always impactful. Scales from solo to 8-person content. Yeah, it's not too bad, and it is nice. Well, it's not going to scale from solo. You can't use it on yourself. Fortitude is not usable on yourself. Fortitude is not usable solo as the empath cannot target himself with it. So clear that from any justification as to why you take it. Just want to make sure she's clear on that one. You're absolutely right, and thank you for the correction. On the homecoming servers, yeah, the other servers you can do it. Now, solo play, it's completely dead power unless you have controllable pet or teammate. This absolutely affects its value. Let's revisit the level 20. Updated assessment, still excellent if you're teaming regularly and want to maximize your impact. It's much less valuable if you're soloing most of the time or low player count. I wouldn't necessarily say it's worth. I'd rather have it on a small team than a large team because I can keep it on those other teammates. So what are your alternatives? Clear Mind, Mighty Leap, and Passion Serenade. Revised recommendation: if you're doing mostly solo, take Mighty Leap. If you're often teaming or planning to support high-end runs, Fortitude. If you're facing a lot of mez heavy content soon, Clear Mind. I'll stick with Fortitude because we should be teaming at this point and we need to start building our support arsenal. All we have to this point is a heal. Oh yeah, we're supposed to be supporting. Perfect. Fortitude it is. Fantastic move for Frisson's evolution into a true battlefield conductor. This makes the moment he stops being just a controller and becomes a force multiplier for the entire team. Quick recap. Up next, the level 22 slots. Okay, let's assume we're putting I think we should probably put, let me see. Fortitude, what's its endurance cost? 10. So the default should be endurance. Let's assume we're putting an endurance reduction enhancement in Fortitude's default slot. Where do you want to put the 2 new slots at level 21? All right, so let her think about that for a second while I go and put Fortitude into our mids build. So Fortitude goes in here. Boom. So yeah, we got a lot of endurance heavy powers to this point. That's why I might have taken Clear Mind sooner and scooted some of this AoE down a couple notches. So I would have done like Clear Mind, AoE, Fortitude, AoE. So kind of space it out so I can take those extra couple slots I'm getting at these odd levels and support those slot hungry AoEs that I'm been taking. The way she's building, she's front loading a lot of that stuff that's going to cost a lot of endurance. That's why if you look at the sliding right now, it's not like no damage, no control. It's just endurance and accuracy. All right, so slot and fortitude endurance and its default, it's 60-second recharge and 10-second endurance cost means even a single cast every minute could wear on your end bar if you're left unslotted. Now with 2 at 21, here's what we're going to consider. Fortitude already has endurance. 2 slots would allow to hit damage defense. These buffs scale well with dual origin enhancements or even early IO sets. Fortitude is this prime candidate for 3 slot and for full functionality. Add 1 slot here for the damage or the to hit. It doesn't take damage modifiers. Blah blah blah. Confounding chant currently has accuracy and endurance reduction. Still lacks recharge, which is critical. Add 1 slot here for recharge. Final slot. So here's what she is suggesting. She's suggesting Fortitude gets a to hit modifier. I might think a recharge here to get it up faster, and then recharge and confounding chant. Why that's a hit? Many high DPS teammates run lean on accuracy. That's a hit buff lands first, then amplifies their own buffed attacks. Damage is all strong, not a bad pick. Let me see if she's considered this. What about a recharge enhancement in fortitude instead? Or would you stick with the plus to hit? You cannot slot plus damage. You cannot slot plus damage into fortitude at all. All right, pump that in there. All right, so I'm just giving her that food for thought about the recharge because she's suggesting right now that we do to hit in there and the recharge and confounding chant. I like the recharge and confounding chant, so I she already did that. I don't know why I don't know. You confused, girl. I think we put that. I think because she thought about the stamina was needing to be slotted with. She didn't realize that stamina had a default, so she doesn't realize confounding chant already has one in there. All right, I'll get her fixed. I have to correct her. She's a little bit confused right now. All right, great catch again, and you're absolutely right. Fortitude does not take the plus damage, since plus damage grants us fixed strength effect and not an effect that enhancement types modify. That leaves Fortitude's enhancement stats, blah, blah, blah. So, which is better? Plus data recharge. Let's break it down. Reduces 60-second cooldown if you do the recharge. 45 seconds that you can rotate Fortitude more freely, possibly buffing multiple teammates in a single fight. Best if you're running with larger teams, want to buff more than one person per engagement. Don't mind that's a hit being good enough as is. Option 2, put that's a hit in there. Take it up from 15 to 1920. Makes a big difference for accuracy starved teams. Best if you want to maximize a single target effect. Often run with blasters, brutes, scrappers to rely upon the buff for big alpha strikes. 10 use fortitude on just a single primary target. Final recommendation: given that you're just now starting your team support ramp up, are likely still casting fortitude on one key ally per major game engagement. Have no other plus to hit. I'd go with the plus to hit. You're casting fortitude on cooldown. Okay. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that slotting. But we already have a recharge slot in confounding, was it? She wanted to do? I think, yeah, confounding. We already have recharge slot in confounding chant. We put one there when you were thinking we needed a slot needed 2 slots for stamina, I think. But we had a default slot already. All right, so I think that's where she's confuzzled about that, because we have a recharge here. So I need my 221s. Where do you want to put? She wants to put 1 here, and she's suggesting doing the hit buff. So we still have 1 slot available at 21. Ah, you're totally right again. Here's a quick correction. So let's see how she's starting to get confused, you guys. Maybe TMI, or because I changed my pattern of input, it's thrown her off. She might need to take a little break here soon. Totally right. Confounding chant already received fault accuracy, endurance reduction, recharge at level 19. Stamina had default slots, so we only added 1 recovery enhancement, not 2. That means you've used 1 enhancement slot at 21, which went to fortitude, and have 1 slot available. Where should we put the next one? Healing aura, heal other. Where are you thinking? Best candidate is healing aura. Why? It's Frisson's most important group sustain tool. Great uptime and high team utility. Adding a 3rd slot lets you add a heal enhancement or prep it for IO set bonuses like preventative medicine down the line. So Sheath says we should put healing aura, a heal in it. Let's see what that would look like. Healing aura, she wants to put 1 right here. Wants to make it a heal. I'm okay with that. I would probably go with another recharge or something like that instead, or more endurance, just because I don't know how much extra buffy heal it's going to get you. Like right now we're doing 117. That takes us to 167, so it added 50 hit points to it. It's useful. Or would I rather have it more spammable? I don't know. But what's its recharge right now? It's 5.6 seconds. That's pretty good. Endurance cost is 9. That's still pretty high. So, maybe put endurance there instead. But it's a big, juicier heal at this point. So it works that way. I'm not going to fuss about it. All right. So that takes us to level 22. I think here's another big level. Level 22 is another milestone level moment, because we get to upgrade enhancements to level 25s, which have a base boost in performance of about 33%. I think it is roughly 33%. So we can replace all our lower level DOs with SO or IO class enhancers and get a lot more oomph across all our powers. At this level, we can choose. Let's see if we have another choice. We get our 8th. We can get our 8th power. At this level, we can choose our tier 8 power from Symphony Control. That power is called... What is the 8th level power from Symphony called? It is called Chords of Despair. Chords of Despair. Let's highlight that. That power is called Chords of Despair. Pop, pop. Its stats are... Go grab them. I mean, this is another one of these gonna take it powers. It is a targeted AoE though, so kind of it's not coned. It doesn't fit with those. But I think it's pretty strong quality power. Another expensive one too. Can I just grab all this crap? Yeah, grab all this crap here. All right, take all this, take all that. Max targets near the ground. Enemy hits. Controller. This junk. All right, got it. Or we can take any of our skipped powers. Or we can also look at. Actually, I'm gonna leave it like there because let's go with what we got so far. I don't want to start adding another pool or whatever at this point. I wouldn't bother with. All right, level 22, absolute milestone. This is where Frisson Sensate ascends into his mature performance tier, and every enhancement gets cranked up with SOs or IOs for your significant 33% boost. It's the perfect time to tighten your core loop and consider your next impactful ability. New option, Chords of Despair. We've got a targeted AoE, 80-foot range, 20-foot radius, control effect, hold, mag 3, 14, 15 seconds. Accuracy is low, recharge is 4 minutes, endurance 15, cast time 267, max target 16. Pros, mass hold, hard control, true neutralization. Fits perfectly in Frisson's crescendo style. Used when the battle peaks or reinforcements arrive. Mag 3 equals elite control powers. Minions don't auto fail. Lieutenants auto fail bosses. It's like thinking of some sort of saving throws here. It has an it's a hit accuracy check, guys. 20-foot radius means it plays well in a clustered combat. Cons, very long cooldown. Yep. High endurance. Uh-huh. Low accuracy. Yep. Will compete with Confounding, Chant, and Lullaby for major moment control use. Yes. How does it fit into his toolkit? Single target hold? Check. AoE immobilize? Check. AoE sleep? Check. AoE stun? Check. AoE fear? Check. AoE knockdown? Wall of force? Check. AoE hold? X. This would complete the set. Yeah, would round us out. So, Chords of Despair is essentially Frisson's final note, his big control aria. It gives him true spawn shutdown capability in a way none of his other powers match. Skip powers worth considering: Impassioned Serenade, Single Target Confused, still flavorful, but you have all this other hard control. Clear Mind, Mez Immunity, good team tool if you're fighting Carnies, Arachnos, etc. Solid team utility, Mighty Leap. If you're tired of jetpacks, want more mobility. Final recommendation, they're saying take Chords of Despair, and I would agree with that. Why? It completes the control spectrum. Yeah, I'm starving for slots and having endurance issues at this point, but I've got everything I need at this stage, right? At level 22, think about it. I've got every control I could want. I mean, I'm a complete controller here. The only thing I'm missing is the pet, and I'm going to get that soon enough. The rest of the build you can see filling in with support powers from empathy, and then your utility and some of your attack powers from your epic set, which pops up in your 30s. So these next 20 levels, the pickups in 24, 26, 28, stuff like that, those are all going to be concentrating on the empathy powers or additional pool powers. All right, so this is what we want. While the cooldown's long, it's a scene stealer when used well. Thematic Pinnacle. Frisson sings a devastating psychic chord that silences an entire battlefield. Level 22 with enhanced performance with SOs, IOs. Perfect time to add power that swings big. Save it for boss packs, ambushes, reinforcement waves, oh crap moments where the stun and sleep isn't enough. Combo it with weaken resolve, soften defenses. Wall of force to spike the stunned enemies or held enemies. Fortitude to buff the ally who is mopping up. Would you like to head to level 23? Yes. Let's see where the level 23 enhance or slots go. I'm putting accuracy into the default slot of of what? What is this thing called? Chords of Despair. Of chords first. All right, let's do that. While she's thinking about where to put those other slots, I'm going to go ahead and update mids. We're going with Chords of Despair. Ooh, you know what else I just saw is Unleash Potential also became optional. When did that become optional? I don't know if I would have grabbed it at any point. What was it, 16? Let me just see something. Power pools for second, third, fourth, fifth. Was it 14? I don't know about that. I'm just looking. The tier 5 power is available for the power pool. I wouldn't have, I don't think, replaced anything with it. It actually started at level 20, so it's available right now. Okay. Anyway, it's not going to change my mind, though. I'll introduce that later. So here we are. We could have picked it instead of Fortitude. I wouldn't have done that. Could have picked it instead of Chords of Despair. I wouldn't have done that. So it's fine that I haven't introduced it. I'll introduce it to her next, though. All right. So anyway, we've got our mids things. So we're gonna go with Chords of Despair. We'll tell her about Unleash Potential for level 22. We're putting a default accuracy in here, and let's see what she wanted to do with the other two slots. All right, so here we are. Let's break down the priorities. Power still at 2 and 3 slots. Opportunity to prep for IO sets as level 25 gear comes online. This is true. A lot of a lot of sets unlock at level 25, I think. Prime candidates for the new slots. Fortitude has endurance to hit. I wouldn't put another one in there right now. Recharge, sure. Defense, yeah. Prepping IO sets for defense buffs. Recommending the recharge and fortitude. If I'm teaming a lot, then yeah. Chords of Despair could benefit from endurance reduction. That's the current power recharge, yeah. Even as a long cooldown power, reducing its energy hit helps ensure it's available and usable. Recommended endurance. So she's recommending fortitude gets a recharge and Chords of Despair gets the endurance. Endurance for sure. I'm going to override this one. I don't think. I'm going to override your placement of a slot in fortitude. I think it's better to put the second slot into the chords. Was it chords? Chords to get it recharged faster. I think that makes more sense to me. Right? Why not at least get your hold there, the AoE hold to be more usable, more user friendly. Solid call, and that actually makes great sense given your current rhythm. Chords of Despair is one of your biggest control hammers. It's 240-second base recharge definitely benefits from earlier investment. Putting both level 23s ensures you significantly more available in high pressure fights, can keep up the pacing. You're not holding a break glass button that only comes around every 4 or 5 fights. So, yep, that's what I think. I don't think Fortitude needs another one unless I'm just doing so much teaming at this point. No. All right, I'm going to go ahead and swap over to this. So here's what I think. Chords of Despair gets both of these. We slap endurance, we slap recharge in there. Bang, bang. And there we go. This looks to me like a really solid plan for level 22. So I'm going to go ahead and screenshot this. And I'm going to go ahead and add this to our build here. So here's my level 12 build. So we're going from this level 12 build where we had those, level 15 IOs, some DOs. We're getting maybe around 20% boosting to things. And we're going to kick this up to the level 22 build here, where we're going to put SOs, maybe some level 25 IOs in here. Now we're looking at boosting things like the 33% or so with this stuff. I think that is your smart play right there. Now we've got a capable, effective mid-game build. We can do some of those more challenging task forces We're still going to be able to do the lower level ones, but now we have a lot more control. My big concern is going to be endurance at this point. We're going to be sucking wind big time with these powers, but we got a lot of options for control, and we can still focus fire on things with our single target immobilize and hold combined with weaken and resolve and project will. So we do have the ability to focus down with those, 4 attacks debuff power there. We can support the team okay with healing aura, heal other, and fortitude. I'd like to have clear mind at some point soon. Maybe I would have had it earlier had this been, my decision making. But I see what Cathy's doing here. I can't disagree with it. It's just a riskier build than what I would have done. If I'm actually leveling this guy up, I know I'm going to be, sucking wind at this point. I'm going to have to be carrying a bunch of blues with me. I'm going to have to restrict my controlling because I know I can't just go all out. But I think this is a really solid build that's coming together. I think at this point, what I would end up doing is I would be at 24, 26, 28. I'm going to be focusing on my empathy powers. I'm going to be grabbing Clear Mind. I see recovery auras coming online. I think regen aura comes online in here. So, I mean, these could be my next 3 picks right here. Clear Mind, recovery aura, regen aura. Bam, bam, bam. Plus, I get a couple more slots in there at, 27, 29, 25. Get these 2 auras, like 3 slotted. Clear Minds will probably just carry the default, endurance reduction, and so that's going to free me up a couple of slots that I can throw into. I don't know, maybe a couple of my single target attacks could use some more juice, like melodic binding. That could use some extra oomph. Maybe I throw something in project will in order to get some damage out of that. So I think by the time I hit 30, I'm going to be in pretty good shape. I think you actually get your pet Reverberant. Yeah, Reverberant comes online at 26. So this is going to be tough. All right, so 24 I think is going to be something like Clear Mind or Recovery Aura. Reverberant 26. Regen Aura comes online at 28. 30. What do you get at 30? I can take Adrenaline Boost. I mean, yeah, so it's going to be like of these next 4 powers, it's going to be a bunch of empathy stuff. And my pet. Right? I mean, that's just gonna be the way I go. Then by 32, I could have Clear Mind in here. So if you look at my next 5 picks, 4 are gonna be in empathy and the pet. I'm gonna be really starving for slots. And then when I get into 35 and higher, that's when I can get my Ice Mastery powers. So I'm gonna be grabbing 3, 4 Ice Mastery here. Between 35 and whatever 44. Ice Storm comes online at 44. So here's where my mastery powers are coming in. And then it leaves me like 3 powers I can play with here at the end. I could go and take Mighty Leap. I could take Unleash Potential if I'm still having regen recovery issues. I could, take the Impassioned Serenade as sort of a slotted as an attack. I can dip into a couple other power pools because I think if I'm going to be going for defense with Frozen Aura, I could take combat jumping. I could take maneuvers, something like that. Couple powers in there, get some more defense. And then really in my 30s is when you get all your extra slots that you're able to really build this guy out. So I mean, he's coming along. This is actually pretty powerful at this level, especially once I have IO sets in here. Because if I level down, I'm going to have all these IOs and these set bonuses, which are going to be attuned, and so they're going to be, really strong anyway. Plus, you're operating at +5 levels, so I'll have lots of powers available, even if I'm doing low level stuff, and they'll be well slotted and tricked out. So this guy is going to definitely have a broad range of. He's got a lot of control. A lot of it can be damaging control, and he's gonna have your standard complement of empathy debuffs. So I'm actually looking forward to what this guy can do. I think it's gonna be pretty impressive. The only thing I don't know is the synergy and the clickiness between empathy, which is ally targeting, and my controls, which are enemy targeting. Focusing fire attention on one or the other, allies versus enemies, because I have a lot of ways to attack enemies here. A lot of ways I can attack enemies. Whereas empathy takes your eyes off your enemies and directs it over to your team window, and you're trying to help your teammates out, especially if you're with a bunch of pugs who don't know what the hell they're doing and they're getting their butts kicked. But anyway, I mean, it's gonna be pretty cool. So there you go. That is the level 22 build for this guy. And I think the rest of the way is going to be kind of clear sailing. I pretty much know what I want to do the rest of the way. And so far, so good with Cathy. I think she's figured it out. She's making some decent decisions. And at the end of the day, I think she's coming up with a really solid build. What'll be the big test is going to be, can she figure out what set bonuses to put in here? That's what I want to do after I'm done with this build. I want to kind of go through these powers and go, okay, Cathy, we're level 50. We've got these powers. We put this number of slots in them. What are we going to do with these slots aside from the default stuff? What power sets can we put, or invention sets can we put in there? So what, I'm about to give her a list. Okay, here's the targeted AoE. You can put Positron in there. You can put obliteration in there, whatever, not obliteration. So annihilation, whatever. Right, give her some options and say, okay, which of these would you put based upon your set bonuses? What do you want to do with this character? Do you want to be damagey, control-y, a lot of recharge, etc.? All right, that's the end of the vid. Deep dive on this ridiculous Cathy built controller. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a good one and peace out.